And so here it says that Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell, who we just saw and heard from, said in a statement that he prefers recommendations from law enforcement officers that he knows. So does this override what he said, is that we requested information but didn't get it? I think that, well, this is my speculation, that he took the word of a longtime deputy on his department, and that's totally held so much merit over what his past was. Many have asked, how do officers like Sean Grayson, or former officers or former deputies like Sean Grayson, get hired or have the ability to bounce around from department to department? Well, I'm going to watch the interview of the police chief of Sangamon County. His name is Jack Campbell, and bring up some other articles to tell you exactly how these officers get to bounce around from department to department like they do. Now, this does not apply to our officers, because officers, like myself, we have to apply, we have to pass different, stages of the background check, of the interview process, and, you know, make sure we score appropriately or exceed the standards. And a lot of times we come onto these apartments, we don't know anyone. So there's no one there to put in a good word for us or anything like that. But I'm going to show you how these two terms we're going to go through in this video: nepotism and cronyism. I know many people use nepotism a lot, but cronyism is not mentioned often. You may ask, how does an officer that's been arrested before become a police officer? I'm going to share my screen and show you the interview of Sheriff Campbell of Sangamon County, and we're going to listen to his interview, and I will go through what he's saying as we go along. Now, I want to bring to your attention here, we have a still image from the news station. We have a picture of Abraham Lincoln here. And a lot of Black Americans like to think that, Lincoln freed the slaves, Lincoln freed our ancestors, and Lincoln was great. Well, Illinois, as I mentioned before, Illinois has more sundown towns than the state of Georgia. And it was a time in the past where the KKK all met up in Springfield, Illinois, the hometown of Abraham Lincoln. And this is just no walk in the park. So many people are butt kissers of Lincoln. Illinois is just a really crappy place. If you haven't heard of a place called Anna, Illinois, go check out Sundown Towns by Dr. James Lowen. But I just thought I'd bring that to your attention, since we have this still image of Lincoln, and that's supposed to kind of relax you and let you know that everything is just fine when it's not.
Including the Logan County Sheriff's Office. We obtained his disciplinary file from Logan County, but Sheriff Campbell says his department never received those documents.
Why wouldn't that be something that you would always require?
We did.
I was told by Jeff that those documents, what came out from Logan County, you guys were not aware of those situations.
Correct. We did request them. When we call, we didn't ask for documents. We called up there. We didn't file a FOIA request. So we usually it's an informal process when you contact another police agency to send us what you have on them. Is there anything over the phone verbally you can tell us about them?
Right there, you saw how he backpedaled, stumbled over all his words. Well, we did request them. So the hiring process should have been paused until you received them, reviewed them, and made a determination. So it sounds like you didn't get them, you request them, you didn't get them, or you got them, you didn't care. But you saw how he stumbled over his words real hard. Then he goes to the phone call. Well, we do it over the phone. Okay. That's hearsay. That's one of the big things in law enforcement. They say, there's no hearsay. Hearsay is not allowed. Either you got to see it with your own eyes, have it as hard evidence, or it never occurred.
According to those documents, during a police chase that he was told to end,
one.
Grayson drove 110 miles per hour before striking a deer and damaging a squad car.
Now, right there, that's reckless driving. Okay, that's reckless driving. That's not having due regard for public safety, and that's a big thing. And it was just right there where, driving is 100% of the job, 100% of the job, unless you're one of those lucky ones and, they put you over in training and hide you, or they'll put you over in property and evidence and hide you. There's different places in the police department where they can hide someone who can, no longer testify in court, who can no
Audio
longer
recordings
drive,
reveal that Grayson's
things like
report
that.
was
So there's
inaccurate,
places
as
for
he
them to
didn't
hide.
check body cam video. A Logan County chief deputy said that while Grayson worked for the Auburn Police Department, multiple of Grayson's cases were not prosecuted.
There we go. He cannot testify in court because the district attorney, or wherever you have the Commonwealth attorney, cannot trust you. They're not going to go forward with your case, and they're going to take a L because the officer lied. Okay. So they're not going to do that. So that should have been a major red flag right there. The reports were inaccurate. Reckless driving, we already have that. And then I stand corrected. Thank you to a viewer that pointed this out, that Grayson is not worthy of the title of an Army vet. He was in the Army and got discharged after 2 years. So he doesn't even qualify for like VA benefits or nothing like that. So I stand corrected.
He added he thinks it's because of Grayson's history with inaccurate reports. Logan County wrote that Grayson needed more training.
And again, people who say, "Oh, we need more training, police need more training, more training." You can train out these bad behaviors. No, you can't, because he's received so much training. They say he needed to extended field training officer training, additional traffic stop training, report writing. He just needs to, you just don't qualify. You're not fit for the job. And so it comes to a point in time where on police departments where they want to pass this individual along, they want to get them in the car by themselves to get them qualified, so that that's an extra body on the roster that day, so that they can take a day off or they can take vacation. It's an extra person out there. So a lot of times these things get rushed and people are pushed through the system.
Are these concerning traits from what we know now?
Since I didn't have that information, I cannot speculate on that.
I know, but now that you do have the information, when we look back, 2020 hindsight,
it'd be speculation if I try to go back with hindsight. I didn't have them. I made the choice I had based on the information I had.
The information that you wanted to see, only on what you wanted to see.
And that's what we have to live with. Sonya called for help and Grayson failed her.
As you see, he addresses Mrs. Massey as Sonya, but the officer is Grayson. That's one thing I've noticed too, because on a department that I worked for in Bremerton, they would never address me as Officer Essex. It was always Miss Essex, Miss Essex. I'm like, I'm an officer. I'm more qualified than majority of y'all here. So yeah, that's one sign of disrespect that they always do, and that jumped out at me immediately.
That was his job, to give her the help that she called for, and I will never understand why he snapped the way he did. There was nothing in his background that would have led us to believe this would happen.
Nothing in his background that would have led us to see that this would happen. Okay. Now, someone in my comments on my last video asked me a question about the patches on the on the sheriff's wall. And there was one that stuck out. They asked me about the one behind the reporter's head. "Don't tase me, bro." Where did that come from? And one thing in law enforcement and the military, I mean, the military is the military and law enforcement is paramilitary. And one thing that is like a big deal is patches, ball caps, t-shirts, challenge coins, stuff like that. So with this right here, there's a circle where it looks like an individual holding what appears to be an Axon taser, and the quote says, "Don't tase me, bro." As far as I can remember, that comes from this lecture or something like that, where it was on a college campus and a college student made the statement. He was talking, and then I think like security, campus security rushed in, and they were trying to detain him or something, and he yelled out, "Don't tase me, bro." And that became the saying in the street once. I remember when on my department, on the department I was on, started carrying tasers, and the cartridges on the tasers were neon green. So they will always say, "Don't tase me, bro." The citizens always say, "Don't tase me, bro. Don't tase me, bro." But I think this here, well, I can't say I think, because like he said, I can't make that assumption. But this here, it kind of be inappropriate, but it could possibly be like a t-shirt that an academy class wore when they all had got tased. And that brings me to another point that I wanted to discuss. Someone also asked on my video, why didn't Grayson tase Mrs. Massey? And I say he could not had a no use of force was necessary because he was not trying to affect an arrest. She hadn't committed any crime. And then also too, when you look at videos of officers or military personnel being tased so that they can carry the Axon taser, they are usually standing with a person holding their arm and holding their other arm, and they're being tased in the back. I still have my taser scars after being tased many moons ago, but they're tased in their back. And in training, it specifically says you never tase someone head on because the taser probes are kind of like fishing hooks where it's a needle point that goes in, but there's also this little hook where it also catches on the backside. With the policy that I was under, it can only be removed by EMS because it was breaking the skin. How would that look when a taser prong goes into someone's eye? And I'm not going to say never, ever, ever, but I'm pretty sure there are instances where tasers have been deployed on someone's front. But I remember in training in detail showing us pictures of a prong in someone's eye, a prong, in someone's heart. They say do not tase in the front because of the heart. They may have like a pacemaker or something. It was just things you do not do. So tasing her was out of the question because they were not affecting an arrest. A use of force is used to affect an arrest, okay? You can't just use it because you feel like it, okay?
I asked Sheriff Campbell if he expects the hiring practices to change for Sangamon County Sheriff's Office after Sean Grayson fatally shot Sonya Massey. One area is a more thorough look into the background of past employment.
Shouldn't that already be done? That's nothing new. We've all gone through it. Individuals like Sean Grayson can bounce around from different departments despite having a troubled and questionable past. How he was able to do this was nepotism. And if you're not sure of what nepotism is favoritism shown or patronage granted to relatives as in business. Undue attachment to relations, favoritism shown to members of one's family, bestowal of patronage in consideration of relationship rather than merit or legal claim. Recently there's been this big thing where white males have been crying out like we need to get back to merit, hiring on merit, DI hire, stuff like that has been huge within the past like 2 to 3 weeks. But nepotism, from my observation, has been shown throughout white males and getting hired and jobs and stuff like that. I've seen it the most. And another definition, the favoring of relatives or personal friends because of their relationship rather than because of their abilities. It was revealed that the deputy, Sean Grayson, who killed Mrs. Sonya Massey, had job references from fiance's dad, a longtime sheriff's deputy. When Sean Grayson applied to work at the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office, his girlfriend's father, a longtime Sangamon County deputy of like 30 years, gave a recommendation. And there's a picture here. There's a picture here with the sheriff you just saw, Jack Campbell, right here with Sean Grayson's girlfriend's father, a retired deputy. And he said that Mr. Butterfield advised me that Mr. Grayson is currently dating his daughter. Lieutenant Wes Wooden wrote in his background investigation of Grayson for the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office in March 2023. So this is who failed to do a complete background check on Sean Grayson, Lieutenant Wes Wooden. Mr. Butterfield describes Mr. Grayson as a mellow, non-confrontational person who has good communication skills. Mr. Butterfield highly recommends Mr. Grayson for employment with the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office. And so here it says that Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell, who we just saw and heard from, said in a statement that he prefers recommendations from law enforcement officers that he knows. So does this override what he said, is that we requested information but didn't get it? I think that, well, this is my speculation, that he took the word of a longtime deputy on his department, and that's totally held so much merit over what his past was. Grayson's personnel file includes references from people I know well. That leads us to cronyism. And cronyism is favoritism shown to old friends without regard for their qualifications, as in political appointments to office. Isn't that what sheriff's department is? Favoritism to friends without regard for their qualification, especially by appointing them to political positions. Favoritism shown to friends and associates as by appointing them to positions without regard for their qualifications or troubled past. Yeah. Another way that individuals like Sean Grayson can bounce around police departments is with a name change. I've known a few people that have gotten a name change, not to count those who may have gotten married, but just a complete name change so that, social media posts or news articles cannot follow them. But on applications, it does ask, have you had any former names or prior names? This article regarding the police officer or ex-Cleveland police officer who shot and killed 14-year-old Tamir Rice. What happened was with Timothy Loman, it appears as though there was a convenient clerical error on his name. So there was a video shared from a city council or village council or township council meeting in which a council member pronounced Loman's last name as Lockman. They changed that E to a C. Wilcox posted the clip so the residents understand who I thought borough council was hiring. So he was already sworn in and hired. Everybody, gave him the thumbs up. But the police committee, which the president of the council and vice president of the council assured after going through the candidates and meeting again, assured everyone on council and myself that they had did a thorough background check and that he checked out. Was a great person, and didn't have any marks on his record that we should hire him and try out a 90-day probationary period. However, they say that the mayor was not blindsided by the hiring and that he was fully aware of Loman's background. And it says that the Cleveland Police Department fired Loman in 2017, but his firing from the Cleveland Police Department was not related to Tamir's death. The department said it let him go because he had lied on his job application. It failed to disclose that the Independence Police Department in Ohio had dismissed him after it deemed him unfit to serve. He went on to land a job with the Bel Air Police Department in Ohio in 2018, but backed out of the part-time position following backlash. In the year since the shooting, Tamir's mother has fought Loman's rehiring. In the years since the shooting, Tamir's mother has fought against Loman's rehiring, writing to the Ohio Supreme Court that he is unfit to serve as a police officer in Cleveland or anywhere else. She questioned why Tioga Borough would hire him. The system is broken and continually broken, Samaria Rice told NBC affiliate. And at this point, when you talk about police reform, I'm having some doubts here because how do you reform the police department when you're putting police officers back as police officers in different states, different counties? I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that's right. It's not like they need to do anything different. They need to do what they state they're going to do. When you go to these departments' websites and you go to apply and it tells you the steps you have to go through to become a police officer, it's already there. Why not do what you say you're going to do? But we have cronyism, nepotism, and things like this where they go off to what these sullied officers go off to these little small departments and try to resurrect themselves again. Loman was actually fired from the police department. Another way that these individuals can bounce around from department to department is resigning in lieu of termination. When they're presented an opportunity to either resign or we're going to fire you, they tend to let them resign so that they could have a chance for employment elsewhere. They don't want to pay them unemployment if they fire them. They want them to just move on. Let's just sever ties and move on. In the interviews and statements that I've gathered from the Sangamon County Sheriff's Department and other police departments across the country is that they're having an issue with manpower. And they want you to we just can't recruit. We just can't recruit. Think about it. Is this purposely done to create an environment where you can just deputize and, bring on anyone that you want because your manpower is so low? Think about it. What just happened 4 years ago? Police departments across the country were terminating qualified officers because they wouldn't submit to a. And so this is the backlash that they're facing. Also, stuff like 12-hour work shifts. This is a problem. I've had an issue with 12-hour work shifts. That absolutely sucks. Making these unfavorable work conditions and I've experienced the hostile work environments, the cronyism. When you're an officer like me, I knew that I would never ever make sergeant, no matter that I had a degree, no matter I had this collateral duty, did this. I would never become one, because those of us who kind of talk like I do and look like me and speak up and not part of the club, you don't get to advance. You don't get to advance because the system is so jacked up. The policies and all the other stuff that's in there. If you happen to make it, it would stress you out because you have to be on your P's and Q's all the time. You constantly watching over your shoulder. You pass gas the wrong way, is gonna get taken from you. The cronyism, the nepotism is very, very blatant. It's very there. And it's not uncommon to have family within the police department. You'll have a father, the son works there as well, or the husband and wife. And I don't see how those survive, because relationships and law enforcement, it's not uncommon to have an officer and a dispatcher. I've even seen officers, dating assistant defense attorney. I'm not defense attorney, but district attorneys. That stuff. I would advise anyone who's, considering going into law enforcement, and, different officers, run their names through the local newspaper, and you will see exactly how the story unfolded before you got there. Well, and I'm going to take you back to the interview with Sheriff Jack Campbell. He made a statement out, and I want you to hear this
afterwards. And maybe we need to take a look at that.
I also asked Sheriff Campbell if they'll provide more training on how to help people who have mental health issues. He said Grayson had training in that area.
In fact, he was a CIT officer. He had taken other mental health, courses at the police academy, and he had more than enough training to deal with that situation. But it's something that we want to provide as much as we possibly can, especially as we see the problem grow. And we will continue to look for those ideas and look for training classes and courses and individuals that can help us do our jobs better.
There we go again. I mentioned the CIT training in my last video. I mentioned in a video before about the CIT training, the crisis intervention training. I wanted that training so bad that I was willing to pay for it out of my own pocket. They do this as just a check in a box. It's just a check in a box. It's either a day or two off where you go and you're out of uniform. You get to go dress up in your training uniform, your polo and your khaki cargo pants to go to this training and look tactical. But they come back and these are the biggest assholes and inconsiderate bastards that I ever met. That's all I have for y'all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.